Okay, so I wanted to do 2 videos like this, in response kind of to what I was saying earlier. Let's go. Really interesting.
Hi, Kevin.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Can I not be on YouTube?
Sure, that's fine. How old are you?
I'm 23.
23 years old. All right. So, what do you have on the subject?
So I will say I do agree with you on your question of what do women have to offer. I agree that oftentimes there's not much to offer to men, but I do have a question. So I am a virgin, and my question is, I've had a hard time finding men, not even just high value men, but like men in general who will even be interested because of the fact that I am a virgin. So my question is it impossible for me?
No.
See, this was interesting, that part, because I think people were saying in my comments and stuff when I was talking about this earlier that men always want virgins, and virgins have it so easy with like finding a man, and relationships and so forth. I honestly think in some avenues it actually is easier the other way, for certain people. Now, that's just how I see it. And they're going to get into it a bit more on what they're talking about. Like, they'll say you have it easier with this demographic. But what if you don't want that demographic? What if you can't get... Okay, intimate relationships are for people, a man, a woman, whoever, whatever gender, people who like each other, want to make that relationship intimate, right? Well, if you don't have a desire to be intimate with such an individual, then what's the point? And if you know female anatomy, how that works, you have to have a desire to want to be with a man. That's just how it is. But anyway, continue.
You're a virgin on what grounds, on what reason?
I just want to wait till I'm married. I think that's just something I want to give.
That's fine. That's fine. Were you raised with your mother and father in the household?
Yes.
Your mother and father are married?
Yes, they are.
Are you a Christian?
I am.
Is your father actively helping you sort or vet these men? Nope.
No.
Then that's why you...
No, I didn't get this part. So you mean to tell me what your parents did in their life have to do with whether you're gonna find a relationship or not? That's really stupid, honestly. So you mean to tell me someone who has not had sex in their 23, 24, however age, and they don't happen to be Christian, or they don't happen to have their two parents alive. Death can happen. Both your parents could be dead for all you know. And somehow that's supposed to mean what now? Like, this is confusing to me. I don't get why that would have to do with you being a virgin. Like, you can control your parents being dead? To me, that's weird. And then also, like, people do the whole religious thing. I get that. Especially saving yourself for marriage and all that stuff. That does make sense. I get that. But what if someone is... Like, some people are not really based in religion, but they may have other logistical reasons why they are a virgin at a later age and why they have chosen not to be with other types of people. It could be because some of the people were just not aligning with their own lifestyle, you know. They can't relate to them, they don't find them to be emotionally appealing to them. they could not be attracted to them. It could be a lot of different things. So to me, I don't get why, even if it wasn't for religious background, you're saying that someone who isn't religious and is a virgin should be someone who is, I don't know, how do you expect them to find someone? They're supposed to convert to a religion so they can find someone? That seems so, like, you're thinking, I think, in a view of basically like you're in the 1800s or something, you're trying to go for your patriarch, you're trying to go in a religious fashion. It's not always like that, though. Being not sexually active doesn't always have to do with religion. It doesn't always have to do with your patriarch. I don't know. To me, it seems like you're going with a stereotype rather than reality. There's different types of people who are virgins, and you're not thinking in that lens. You're only thinking of virgins in a very narrow tone. And I mean, in the dating world, that is true. A lot of people do see virgins in a very narrow lens and not in a more dynamic lens, which means that if you were open about being a virgin, you are only stuck in one frame, basically. And for virgins who don't want to be stuck in the frame, you end up lying because you don't want to be stuck in the frame. But that's a whole different story. Anyway,
Can't
continue.
find anybody. I'm going to say this to all you women. You always ask, why can't I find a man under these conditions when you're not working with the men?
That's true.
You think you're not going to be able to go out here on a dating market where sex happens before dates. So my question is, why are you not?
That is true. And that's why I said in the beginning that men don't generally want virgins, because most of the time women, they have 10 other women who have had sex at least 100 times before them, basically. And that's a minimum. And that's not even someone with a high body count after all that. There are plenty of women who have had sex 100 times and before that guy, and they will be having sex with that guy probably 100 more times. So, they have a lot of options other than the virgins. So if a virgin is not going to put out, there's 10 other women in line who will, This is why, to me, it's like in this dating market, it's like virgins, in my opinion, become devalued. Now, that doesn't mean people should not be virgins or that they should get rid of their virginity. I don't think that. I do not think that at all. I think, do what's best for you and whatever you're comfortable with, personally, like, I didn't want to have sex as a teen or as early 20s and so forth, and I never quite regretted that. I mean, sometimes I do, but I stand by my decision of not doing that. I mean, there are personal reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. There are repercussions with sex that you don't want to get into and so forth. I mean, on logistical levels, I understand it. I'm just saying when it comes to dating, I just don't see how it brings value when there's tons of other women in line who are like, well, I'll just give it to you for free and you don't have to even, you don't even have to date me long, while someone else is trying to hold out. It's going to be problematic, and even if a virgin is willing to have sex before marriage, a virgin is still going to be looked upon as you're going to have to wait longer because you are a virgin. Like someone who has had sex 100 times, they expect that they're going to put out quicker. So they're going to be, like I said, in that dating market, it's like, yeah. Anyway, continue.
Working with your father and the men of the church.
Yeah, you're right.
I know, but I'm asking why.
So my parents are like really strict. They really don't even want me to be
The parents are strict. They don't want you to be married.
Well, they do want me to. They do want
So
me to.
your parents want you to be married. They don't want you to be out here dating.
Yeah.
Then why aren't you working with your parents on finding a husband? Why aren't you working with your father on finding a husband? Be honest. Rebellious daughter. So no, you can't. So yes, your situation is impossible. Yep. Because you're in rebellion.
See my point? He's talking to someone who is not promiscuous, who is under 25, has no children. I don't know if she's overweight, but she has qualities that obviously you guys talk against that she doesn't have, but you're still saying it's impossible. This is what I always point out, that you guys always are of the defeatist mindset, and you're always saying something's gonna go wrong with women because you're always trying to depreciate the value and say they don't have access to specific men. So to me, that's just an important thing. That's why I say that with the manosphere, that it's not all the things they complain about, because they'll find something else to complain about. This is a great example of that.
Yep, and it should be.
Okay. Well, I guess I will take your advice.
Well, there's no advice, ma'am. It's like, look, if your mother and your father has raised you to protect your chastity, but that has to do with some sort of foundational reasons, religious or otherwise, then
that's weird. Why'd you assume that her father taught her that? It could just be that she's smart. It could be that she just makes better choices in life. Maybe she's just one who makes better decisions for herself. I think the idea that a man had to teach her that is the idea that women are naturally dumb and they can't make good decisions for themselves. I'm just pointing that out. Why do you assume that he taught her anything about that? He might not even know she's a virgin. Just saying. Continue, though.
He also needs to be helping you get in front of the kind of men that he would want you to be married to. You can't be in charge of this.
Yeah.
The reality is most women don't like the men that their fathers pick, because he's going to pick something that you don't like. He's going to give you liver and onions and Brussels sprouts, and you want a cheeseburger and fries. Guess what a cheeseburger and fries makes you? Fat? Right.
Yeah.
You heard it, folks. They want a meal to taste good. This is why I mean, women like yourself want men who are loyal, alpha males, productive, attractive, age appropriate, all this Disney fantasy stuff. What if your husband is 40 years old? And her face...
Man, that's what I mean. You're saying women want all these things, and it's weird to me, because it's like, I think it would be one thing to say virgins want one thing, but then it's like another thing. You said women want this? Like, that's weird to me. Not all women want men. And this is an important thing. Always remember that not all women even want men. Not all women are even attracted to men. And if you understand that, you understand that women's sexuality and desires and needs vary among the woman. It is that way, where basically it depends on the woman and what she wants. You can't say that all women want one thing. We're not robots. I've said this so many times. I feel like a broken record. But we're not robots, We're individuals. And we want different things. That's why, like, with the manosphere, when they talk about things like this, it's always weird to me. Because it's like, you guys will talk about provision, protection, and all that bullshit. And you don't know what someone's looking for. You have no fucking clue what someone is looking for. you might not know that it might be an offense to someone to think that they're looking for someone with money, or they even consider money. Some women don't consider money at all. Some women don't care if you make $20,000 a year or if you make $2 million a year. Some women would prefer you to make $40,000, $50,000 a year, and not more than that. Some people are different, Now, I know what I said, the last thing I said, freaks everybody out. It makes everybody act like, what the heck did you just say? How are you really saying that? Something's wrong with you. I can tell you, some people are actually intimidated by people who make money, and it makes them feel powerless. It makes them feel inferior. It makes them feel like they're not really a human being. Just like how some people say some men who are intimidated by women who make a lot of money, why can't it go the other way around? I don't understand it. You guys always understand that men are individuals, but you don't understand that women are individuals, and they respond differently to different people. A rich man is not going to get the same response to every woman. He's going to get a response varying among different women who perceive him differently, who want him, who don't want him, who are nonchalant, who don't care, who don't even notice him. It's different. People will have different feelings towards anyone, even a rich person, even a man who's trying to protect people or whatever. Which I've never seen a man as someone who's supposed to protect me. That's just weird to me. I mean, with humans, and I don't know what people think, but with humans, we protect ourselves not by strength, but by our intellect. I mean, if it was really by strength, we would be out there in the jungles getting eaten by cougars or whatever, because we are like the weakest link. We probably would honestly be getting almost eaten by bunnies. I mean, we don't have much strength. I'm just saying. We don't have strength like that. We don't have physical strength. That's why it's so funny when people say, like, you look for protection. You do understand everything in place for humans that is protection for us is based off of our brains and not off of our brawn. Our brains have made us create guns, and our guns are what protect us. We have thumbs. All humans have thumbs. Well, most do. And we can all pull the trigger, okay? So I don't get why people talk about brawn and protection. It's so weird to me. We just had a 6-year-old pull the trigger on somebody, and I believe that 6-year-old killed somebody. So obviously it's not about strength. A 6-year-old can pull a trigger and kill somebody. So obviously anyone can protect themselves and is a formidable person with the right weapon or the right protection. So to me, I just don't get why people always are talking about like men protecting people. Men die of bullets just like women do. I mean, that's how I see that. Maybe my perspective is different because of my whole rearing. My mother is my living parent, and she was, I guess, when I was growing up, she did protect me. And my father, obviously, he was murdered. So, I mean, from my perspective, I have a different perspective on that. I just don't see them as protecting me. Now, anyway, my whole point was, like, when you guys talk about, like, wanting different things out of men, it's just weird to me because it's like, I don't get it. Like, how are we supposed to see, like, women as wanting the same thing out of men as if we're robots? Like, that doesn't make sense. We all have different experiences with men, and we all want men or we don't want men, but those of us who do want men, we want them for different reasons. So anyway, continue.
This way, like, and you don't get to make those choices. That's the problem. We don't talk about age gap dating in our community. Our women want to date men roughly around the same age, but they want you to produce like a man 20 years older.
Yeah, no. Like I said, you're thinking this is what they want because you met a woman who wanted that. But that doesn't mean that all women want that. Some women don't want men who make a lot of money, you know? So you saying the whole money thing is weird to me. Anyway, continue.
You can't say, go ahead. Say something.
So I mean, I agree. Like what you just said about the age gap thing.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I always said my highest I would date would be 5 years older than me. So
go ahead and have sex. Get it out of the way. Go ahead and have sex and get out of here on the cock carousel. Just go ahead and waste your youth.
You have to understand, when you're saying that you have to be with a man who's 40, don't you understand, if someone's not attracted to 40-year-old men, how are you expecting them to have a whole marriage with them? They're not even sexually compatible to them. Would you ask them, like, you're almost acting like they have to just make themselves attracted to 40-year-old men. What if they're no more attracted to 40-year-old men than women, for that matter? What if they just have no interest in them at all? They're not attracted to them. You really mean to tell me you think that they're going to just up and come up with somehow that they're attracted to someone who's 40 when they're not even 25? Like, that's a huge age gap. Just pointing that out. But that's what I mean with this whole virgin thing. People say, oh, when you're a virgin, you're privileged. You get access to more high-value men or whatever. But then all this guy ends up saying is that, oh, basically you are stuck with an old man who is way older than you. You know, he's not attractive to you. You know, he's not what you want at all. He's pointing this out. And you should be happy with him because he's going to make some money, and he may not even make as much money as you want, but you have to be happy with that still. And that's because he's going to marry you. Well, I don't understand this. It's almost like you guys think women are just looking for anybody to marry. To me, this is just weird to me because I'm like, I always thought marriage was about emotional attraction, emotional bonding. Your other half, they have to be something that is comparable to you, something that you can relate to, something that has your similar lifestyle, your similar morals, your similar interests. They have to be someone that you actually want. They can't just be some random man who wants to marry you, because that's not what I don't know about every woman, obviously, but I think that ideally most people would want to marry someone who is compatible to them. You know, you're not thinking of compatibility. You're just saying get with the program and be glad somebody married you. You get my point here. And how that's just like, you're basically setting someone up for misery, you know. And then you say somehow a virgin is somehow more valued by men, but all a virgin really gets at the end of the day is stuck with an old man for the rest of their life that they were never attracted to, emotionally or physically. It seems like a jail sentence to me. That's why I never understood why people say that there's some kind of benefit with it. The things that are supposedly benefits are just punishments, in my opinion.
Go ahead. You might as well. 5 years? Okay, so you want a man who's going to be 5 years old, so that's going to be 28 years old. And you want a 28-year-old man who's going to be, what, a virgin too?
Well, I'm not that.
Yes or no?
No, he doesn't have to be.
Okay. Do you? Okay. Do you want children?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How many would you like to have?
Either 2 or 3.
2 or 3. What state do you live in?
Georgia.
Right. Do you want to have to work to pay significant bills after you're pregnant with your first child?
Yeah.
You do want to have to work to pay significant bills.
I mean, I don't want to have to.
No, that's what I asked. Do you want to have to work? That's not a...
He's phrasing the question so then it seems like a bad thing. I don't get it. Like, to me, this is weird because some people wouldn't want to be stay-at-home wives because they might feel like their life is not fulfilling. And there's several other reasons, but I'll get into it.
I don't leave any
Continue.
gray area. I have some questions.
Okay, no.
Right. What percentage of the overall family financial load do you want to have to be responsible for a lifetime? Rain, sleep, shine. That's what you want to be responsible for until the day you die.
Maybe 40%.
40%. That means if you don't work, the family falls apart.
Yeah.
You want to have to be responsible for
40% sounds like a little to me, but hey, who knows?
40%. Babe, I'm not playing games. I'm serious. 40%, that means you have to work for the rest of your life until you reach retirement. You can't take off. There's no maternity leaves, and then you got to do it. Rain, sleet, shine.
Yeah.
You want to be responsible for 40%. Another problem with today's modern women, they won't be honest. They say what they say what they think you want to hear or what sounds good. Well, you can't get anywhere if you build off a lie. Just tell the truth, man.
Okay, no, I don't want to. I mean, I would prefer my husband work and I, take care of the household.
Right, you want to be a housewife. Why is that so hard to say?
Because maybe she doesn't really want to be a housewife, but she thinks it's easier, and you're guiding her into saying it, maybe? Because sometimes, I don't know, to me, the term housewife, to some people, feels icky. And some people like it, So, of course, some people are going to be uncomfortable with the idea of being a housewife. So, it's to each his own. You can't say that every woman is happy being a housewife. Some are and some aren't. And guiding them into saying that, you're not really actually getting the truth behind maybe what she would actually want. But hey, who knows?
Well, because I also don't mind,
Okay, ma'am, if you don't get married, what percentage of your overall financial load are you going to have to be responsible for a lifetime?
If I don't get married, 100%.
Right. So, if you do get married, what percentage do you want to have to be responsible for a lifetime? This is why women can't get married, because they don't even think like wives. Look at this. It's a very simple binary equation. 100% if I don't get married, and if I do get married, the reality is you don't want to have to be responsible for really anything, but then you want to say, I don't want a high-value man because I don't want... Answer the freaking question.
Yeah. Then I would say not more than 30%.
Not more than 30%. That's okay. What is? Give me the number, ma'am. It's ballpark.
You mean money?
Yes, ma'am. Overall financial load. If you don't get married, you got to pay 100% everything.
Right.
How much? You want 3 kids in Georgia? That means to have a middle class lifestyle, you're gonna have to make around $300,000.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to be responsible for what percentage of that 300,000?
Okay. I would say 80,000.
What's your degree in?
Nursing.
Who's gonna raise your children?
Well,
y'all making $80,000 a year, ma'am, you're putting in a lot of hours. That means your kids are going to be raised by daycare.
Yeah.
See, too many of our women want money and a higher standard of living versus downsizing and living on what your husband can afford.
I don't really get, though, why some people might not want to have to. I don't understand why people always act like it's a pleasure to be at home with your children, raising your children the whole time. Why can't you get help to watch your kids sometimes to give you a break? I mean, let's be completely honest here. When some people get overloaded with being a housewife and so forth, many people have ended up having mental breakdowns and it not really going well for their mental health. So, I mean, like, saying that she should be stuck at home as a housewife to 3 children that she's taking care of alone, I don't think it would be wrong for her to get any help, like, from other people, paying somebody to watch her kids sometimes. Would not be a bad thing, I don't think. And especially if she makes 300,000, she could definitely afford help with her children. So I don't really get why she just has to be stuck with her children as a housewife when she has the money and the means to have help. That's all I have to say with that.
If you marry a man that's making $75,000 a year, you live in that $75,000 a year lifestyle. But you want these grandiose things, and then when someone comes to you and asks you numbers, you start beatboxing and breathing hard. This is why you end up with nothing. Now, understand, this all started with this woman talking about being a virgin and dating, but listen where we are. You won't even be honest. You won't be honest that you want a lifestyle. And like it or not, man, you still want a high-value man, because if you're responsible for 80, he still got to come with 220 for 3 kids. Unless you want to put, let's be realistic, dude. Would you want to be married to a man making $80,000 a year with 3 kids? Yes, no. Yes, no.
No.
Thank you. Then, so basically, 85% of the men in our community aren't even qualified for you. You're insane. Buy a dog. It's not about being a virgin. And you guys...
See, exactly. That's what I mean. You guys constantly say that you want to go talking about how high body count makes you a low value woman. You know, being over a certain age, being over 30, 35, whatever the age range you guys have, it makes you a low value woman. Having children, being overweight, this person does not meet any of those prerequisites. And he still is treating her the same as all the other women because what the objective is to devalue the woman or say her standards are too high and she does not qualify for what she's asking for, regardless of who she is. Even if she's a 23-year-old virgin, she's still going to be told she doesn't qualify. Because what they're saying is they don't want to put in the effort to basically be qualified for a high value woman. So what they do is basically try to say that any woman that would qualify for the standards of what they're saying is high value is actually of a lower value, so then they can have access. This is my whole point. You know, they do this with this type of strategy. They do this with average at best, like I said, saying this to, you know, women who are attractive, trying to say they're less attractive by trying to compare them to very attractive, beautiful women. It's always that way. It's always try to pick at something to finally find a way to say that the person is not qualified for what they're asking for what they want, you know. And in the beginning of this conversation, she specifically said she's not even looking for someone who is high value, as they were trying to say, or someone who makes a lot of money. So that's my whole point in this video, is that, you guys try and say that virgins were valued by men, and Kevin Samuels is here to show you, well, was there to show you since he's died, that no, even if you're talking about virgins, you're not going to value them. What you're going to say is that virgins aren't even qualified to be with men that they're attracted to. See, the ones that you're shaming, at least they're able to get with men that are attractive. Instead, no, a virgin is just stuck with an old dying man who has some amount of money, and probably not even enough, not a lot of money, someone who's just willing to marry them, and they better be happy with that. See, that's what I'm saying. It's not that you value virgins, you're just saying that you can basically have a situation where you can be with unattractive men who will take you on and try to marry you. Who wants to be married to an unattractive man that they have nothing in common with? There's no physical attraction, there's no emotional attraction. The last thing you want to do with someone you're not emotionally or physically attracted to is marry them. That's the last thing you want to do with someone like that, because you'll be stuck with them for life, basically. I mean, it would be bad enough to have a one-night stand with someone like that, because, it would be a nightmare. Who wants to be trying to have sex with someone who you're not attracted to? If you understand female anatomy, when you are aroused, when the vagina is aroused and lubricated, basically, you're obviously more likely to enjoy the sex, and you're actually more likely to be able to have sex, because some people are a lot smaller down there, so access to, have sex is less capable if, you're not attracted to the person. So, my point in talking about this is, you wouldn't even want to spend one night with an individual like this, because it would be a nightmare. But yeah, that's all I have to say in this video. It's just, he was trying to basically explain and show us how virgins are still not valued. And that's what my whole point was. Virgins are not valued. They're just basically stuck with people who are completely unappealing. And he demonstrated this here. Now, I will say, as someone who was a virgin at 23, 24, 25, 26, I can totally relate to what he's saying, that yes, older men would definitely try and commit and all this stuff and things of that nature, of a certain type of man would try and commit. But like I said, if you don't have anything in common with that kind of man, and you are not attracted to that man, it's not an option. So, for the men you are attracted to, obviously, that's more of what would matter, But you can't tell someone like this that, because they don't really think that women actually have an interest or a preference or have a choice, for that matter. It's almost like we don't have a specific sexuality. No, some men are like that. They think that women don't have sexuality. If you don't think we have sexuality, then I guess who we're physically and emotionally attracted to doesn't exist. And if that's the case, you're really someone who, I personally, as a woman, would never want to touch a man who was like that, because he doesn't understand female sexuality. So what good is he when it comes to the intimate part of a relationship? He's going to be basically trash. But yeah, anyway, that's all I have to really say in this video. It's just, I kind of feel like this video kind of says what I was saying in the past, was specifically that virgins in this society are not really valued, and they're only put into one frame and said that they're benefited in that frame. But it's only if you like that specific thing that prefers you. If you don't prefer old men who are willing to marry you, that you don't like, that you're not physically attracted to, that you're not sexually attracted to, you're just looking for anybody to marry you, then then I guess maybe you're benefited. But if you're not one of those type of people, you're basically not benefited in this society. And it's sad. It is what it is. Society has, I guess, gone to trash to its own extent because, a lot of people have sex outside of marriage. People have sex earlier, younger. And, since sex is readily available to men and women, virgins are usually left out in the cold. So that's all I have to say in this video. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment down below. Bye, guys.